In this piece, we're going to work with our models to look at a scenario where foreign consumers have maybe developed a taste for a particular American export, or maybe the U.S. has imposed some kind of trade restrictions to favor a particular American export or to decrease the importation of a particular foreign produced import. In other words, an effort to a policy to try to address net exports. So here's our model without this change. Now, if something happens where a particular U.S. Good is increased in its amount that it's exported for either of those reasons, what we're talking about down here then is an increase in demand for U.S. dollars for consumers from other countries to be able to purchase that good. So if I draw in that increase in demand, what that does is push up on the real the real exchange rate. I said to be careful with those things, and there I almost said the wrong term. So that pushes up on the real exchange rate. And that's about all we can do with our models. Because at that higher exchange rate, it now costs foreigners more to buy other U.S. goods. So the effect on net exports, net, is zero because of this offsetting effect of the higher exchange rate due to the increased consumption or exportation of one U.S. good. It doesn't affect anything up here because up here, these things are dependent upon the supply of loanable funds, which is savings, or investment, or net capital outflow. But these things aren't affected by the scenario of policies targeting exports, U.S. exports. So you might be thinking, well, I hear so much about the trade deficit. I think you would be thinking, I hear so much about the trade deficit. Shouldn't we be able to do policies that decrease the trade deficit and, increase net capital outflow? And the reason that we have the trade deficit, there are two reasons. They're given in the book in a text box written by Alan Blinder. The excerpt is written by Alan Blinder at the very end of the chapter. He points out that the U.S. negative net exports, the trade deficit, is because of two factors. One is the continued undersaving in the United States, if you want to call it that. If we saved more, that could lower real interest rates and then affect net capital outflow. But we don't do that. And then the other thing that Alan Blinder mentions in that text box at the end of the chapter is the role of the U.S. currency in international markets. We have negative net capital outflow because the U.S. dollar remains. It's become part of a more diversified basket since about 2000, I'd say. But the U.S. dollar remains the world's reserve currency. Countries around the world like to hold U.S. dollars or U.S. assets as a way to support their own currencies in different countries around the world, much the way our Federal Reserve buys and sells bonds to address our money supply. Other countries around the world will buy and sell U.S. dollars to affect their own money supply. And we have a unique condition that way. And so other countries want to have our money or our assets. So this affects, these are the things that would affect this model, but those aren't the things that are happening, which is why we have this outcome down here.